Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth.
Today's game is Botany Manor. Growing plants is a puzzle, at least when I try to keep them alive. Is this botany game worth watering? Let's find out. Botany Manor is a short puzzle game about growing plants with increasingly weird and obscure requirements. You play as Arabella Green, botanist in the 1890s who wants to finish her life's research by growing a whole host of weird plants. You're dropped into your mansion filled with 12 plants to grow and a bunch of notes you've gathered throughout the years as hints on how to accomplish this. Botany Manor is chunked out into sections, usually with 2 to 3 plants each, and within these sections you'll find hints on how to make a particular plant grow. It starts fairly easy with needing to figure out a plant's native habitat and then expose it to the right temperature, to future puzzles being much more complex, like calculating the correct amount of sugar in apples to fertilize a plant, or the specific wind requirements in a dilapidated tower. While they get tricky, they're never too difficult, with the game clearly directing you towards which hints are worth solving and which are just window dressing. Speaking of window dressing, there's quite a lot here, with Arabella's story and history being told throughout her research. Being a female scientist in the 1890s was a struggle for recognition, a struggle Arabella is very familiar with. The backstory of her trying to get recognized by the scientific community and their not so receptive response to her research, making the whole experience engaging. You aren't just making plants though, as there's smaller side puzzles along the way, like assembling pipes, solving weights puzzle, opening locks, and more. Though to be honest, all these do feed into horticulture. And really, that's it. Botany Manor is a short and charming plant puzzle game with some underlying story and a lot of shrubbery. So what do I like about Botany Manor? Well, the puzzles here are excellent and have a fantastic ramp up in difficulty, and do the thing I love where they aren't blatantly obvious, but also have tons of little hints and guidance along the way to make you feel like a genius when you solve it. Additionally, the game is both gorgeous and very relaxing, with its warm color palette and focus on gardening and botany blending well into an experience that feels cozy. And lastly, the environmental storytelling is fantastic, with the game weaving disjointed clues into actual plot about Arabella's life, and the story of how her male-centric colleagues would reject her work just because she's a woman, and the struggles of the era to get recognized as a female scientist. It was all very engaging, and definitely motivated me to finish the books to prove them all wrong. When it comes to the bad, I would kill for some way to take notes or have what Arabella finds be written in her journal. Instead, if you need to reference something, you have to walk back to the actual object, and while the book will give you the general idea where that object is, it's still an enormous pain in my petunias. Additionally, there were a handful of puzzles that required objects that either weren't in the direct path of discovery, or it wasn't clear what I was doing wrong. I'm looking at a specific rusty pig that made me feel like I was going crazy on a water plant puzzle. And lastly, I don't bring up cost much, but Botany Manor is a very short game, think under 4 hours, or $25, which might put some people off. It is basically the perfect Game Pass game though, so judge accordingly. I just personally wish it was longer because I would absolutely play more of these puzzles. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And Botany Manor is a charming little puzzle game that goes the extra mile with its underlying story and cozy atmosphere. While I would have minded more puzzles and some way to keep notes, that isn't enough to keep me from recommending it wholeheartedly. If you enjoy exploration and deductive puzzle games and fancy yourself a green thumb, Botany Manor is ready for you to grow. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Have you heard of or played Botany Manor? Do you enjoy these types of puzzle games? Please let me know what you think in the comments, but regardless, go out there and give it a look.